From packing to flying to our arrival at Edinburgh, Scotland's airport, it is our 14th go-ahead tour. So we did what we usually do after a long flight: go to the hotel, rest up, meet our tour guide Tom Quinn and fellow travelers. Shortly afterwards, we took a short walk and had a really nice welcome dinner. The next day, we took the city tour before stopping at the Edinburgh Castle, located high above the entire city. This historic fortress is built on Castle Rock, a volcanic outcropping.
This rock here is what we call a vent of that main volcano, and it was spewing out lava until about 350 million years ago, which is quite safe. And then what happened is the lava cooled very, very quickly inside the cone, and it went very cold and everything went quiet. And then about 15,000 years ago, glaciers swept through here from the west, and the glaciers ripped away the cone of the volcano, and you were left with this volcanic stump which was basalt.
In its 1,100 years of existence, it has been attacked at least 26 times and is one of the most fought-over castles in the world. It has been used mostly as a fortress, even though Mary, Queen of Scots, was born here, but she didn't live there very long. Today, it's a tourist attraction and home of the Scottish royal jewels and the Stone of Scone. An afternoon drive took us to Abbotsford, the rural home of Sir Walter Scott, a romantic writer of historical novels who gave the Scots some pride in their history, even though he also served as a sheriff, a lawyer, and a bureaucrat. Some of his most famous books are Ivanhoe, Waverley, The Heart of Midlothian, Rob Roy, and A History of Scotland. Scott is memorialized in downtown Edinburgh with this large monument, one of the tallest in the city. Near Scott's Abbotsford home is Melrose Abbey, a monastery from the 1100s. A number of Scottish kings are buried there, including what is believed to be the heart of Robert the Bruce.
Somebody ring the bell.
On the way to Stirling Castle, we saw these 100-foot-high giant kelpies in Falkirk. The kelpies are a Scottish, shape-shifting mythological creature. Stirling Castle is perched high above the surrounding farmland. You're greeted by a large statue of Robert the Bruce, a warrior king in the early 1300s who fought against the English to make Scotland an independent country. The castle has been heavily damaged and rebuilt several times. Kings and queens were born here, lived here, and were murdered here. Mary, Queen of Scots, was crowned here. Eventually, it became a prison, then a military storage area and soldiers' quarters. Stirling Castle is now a historic site with concerts and living history reenactments.
In fact, in building this particular palace,
The only part of it that's actually from Scotland is the stone.
Okay.
Everything else was imported. Even the oak timber had to be
Really?
imported. The previous King James IV, the one who built the Golden Feasting Hall here, he got a little bit carried away building the largest warship Europe had ever seen just to prove it was possible. But he cut down the last mature oak tree in Scotland to build that. She is somebody to be admired. She often doesn't spend money on herself, but she gives it to the poor. She really is quite a magnificent choice in a bride. Our king was canny when he picked her. Of course, it did help also that her name is Mary after his first wife was called Madeleine, so the letters above the windows.
You didn't have to change.
No, you don't have to redecorate very often in Scotland because for 100 years the ladies who've married our kings, they're either called Mary or they're called Madeleine or they're called Margaret. So you really didn't have to redecorate at all for about 100 years. See these kings though, they know what they're about.
After lunch, we visited Loch Lomond in the rain. We left Scotland via Newcastle in northern England to visit Cardiff Castle, which has been the site of a number of movies and films, including Downton Abbey. Cardiff Castle was also the place where Harry Potter learned how to ride a broomstick in the very first film.
Well, I think that was a book. But this is quite simply called Stop and Go. So when I shout go, only when I shout go, I want you to thunder off down there towards that seat of which that gentleman may just be about to have a rest. Go!
Cardiff was first built in the 1100s by the Normans and is still the home of the Duke of Northumberland. This top-notch castle features these beautiful gardens with many fancy water fountains.
That's nicer.
And it also has one of the largest tree houses in the world. On the road again, we saw the Angel of the North, a contemporary metal sculpture near Gateshead. It is 66 feet high and 177 feet wide. We stopped in Durham along the River Wear to see the UNESCO-recognized Durham Cathedral, noted for its beauty and Norman architecture. Durham Cathedral also was the site for a couple of scenes from Harry Potter as well as other movies. The ancient city of York is next. We visited the old Roman wall, built 1900 years ago, around 75 AD. A medieval section of the old town still exists, even a section called the Shambles. Also in York is the York Minster Cathedral, known for the largest expanse of medieval stained glass in the world. Many clergy are buried here as well. As the church is still a working church, construction has been ongoing since the Roman days, and a special visit underneath the church shows some of the original Roman construction, as well as changes throughout history. The York Castle Museum is the site of Clifford's Tower, a fortified royal safe house, later used as a prison and a military base. England was in the midst of Brexit concerns while we were there, with occasional demonstrations. Upon our arrival in Liverpool, our tour focused on the Beatles, who all were born and raised in the city. You'll find evidence of the Fab Four all over, including the Beatles story at Albert Dock. Here are some of the places we visited. Ringo's childhood home. Paul's childhood home on Forthland Road. John's childhood home. Penny Lane in Mossley Hill. Strawberry Fields in Beachfields Road. The Cavern Club on Matthew Street. We even took the ferry across the Mersey River. After leaving our Liverpool hotel, we bussed to the childhood home of William Shakespeare. The main site in Stratford-on-Avon is Shakespeare's childhood home.
So when you go through the gap there, you'll see that it's a lot bigger. It's actually 3 properties that Shakespeare's father bought over the years, and he just turned them into one. So that's why it's so much bigger. So you'll see 6 rooms as you go inside. And
Next is Shakespeare's wife, Anne Hathaway's growing up home. Last is a visit to the Holy Trinity Church, where Shakespeare's remains are buried near the altar area. After our visit to Shakespeare's hometown, we bussed to Cardiff, the capital of Wales. Soon after arrival, we went through the rain to the Cardiff Castle for a tour, a banquet, and Welsh music. The next day, we took a city tour of Cardiff to visit the castle in daylight and the Irish seashore and seaport. Next stop on the tour was Bath, another old Roman town. Here, Bath is known for a Roman bath fed by a natural hot spring. It is a way to go back in time almost 2,000 years. Not far from Bath is Stonehenge, the 5,500-year-old prehistoric monument in Wiltshire. It is UNESCO protected now with a visitor center, cafeteria, and museum. We journeyed through the countryside on the way to London. We stopped at Salisbury, where in 1215 rebel barons forced King John to agree to a Bill of Rights. The Salisbury Cathedral houses an original copy of the Magna Carta. This document is one of the precursors to the American Constitution and Bill of Rights. Once in London, our tour director Tom Quinn taught us how to use the London Tube and a visit to Piccadilly Circus, not unlike New York's Times Square. The next day, we went on a city tour starting at Trafalgar Square, a public square commemorating a famous battle in the Napoleonic War. Today, it is a popular site for public demonstrations and tourists. When the main group went on to other parts of London, we left the group and walked towards the Thames and saw a number of iconic London sights. Our goal was the Westminster Abbey. We had gone by on a previous trip. On this one, we wanted to go inside. It is where English royalty have been crowned since 1066 and the site of 16 royal weddings. Many of England's most famous people are buried or honored here. Following that, we walked over to the nearby Churchill War Rooms, where the defense of Britain was directed during World War II. The tour of Warner Brothers' Harry Potter studio, northwest of London, was a fast-paced, 4-hour whirl through the original sets, props, costumes, special effects, animatronics, and life-sized models of the Harry Potter movies.
it all for that, but okay. I just had to do that.
The first Harry Potter, the last Harry Potter. You see the proportion of visual effects, those things are like really pushing boundaries of what's believable and the things that you wouldn't have been able to do 10 years ago.
Quite often we're looking at something from teachers of fiction.
Didn't move your arms much.
Well, no, but I don't know how close you have to. I think you have to stand on the square. Oh! There you go.
On our last day, we took a bus trip to Oxford University and the Cotswolds region of England. Oxford University has 39 member colleges and is one of the oldest universities in the world. Many notable alumni went to school here, including 28 prime ministers and 72 Nobel Prize winners. Oxford is where President Bill Clinton smoked a joint but did not inhale. This pub is where many famous writers once met, including J.R. Tolkien, who wrote The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Narnia series. The Cotswolds is an area of rolling hills between London and Wales with some of the most beautiful, typical English homes. It has been officially designated an area of outstanding natural beauty for its wonderful landscape. The name is thought to refer to sheep-herding hills. In any respect, this area shows off England in its best light, a great way to end our visit.
demanded me that I sit to my mentor, che fa morevoti. Karon heilen rupen med vana tankar, jag blickar vid rupen, che fa morevoti. Jag kallar dem på mig. Katterna på bar. Katterna på bar. Katterna på bar. Kanna slippa och det krävs fett och idén svarta beslut. Nej, det är väl och kammar kommer från ett människorna gäng i dagar i nattens mannen kväll kvinna till överlagar kattra kom på mig. Anywhere is home. Anywhere is home. Anywhere is home. Pack a bag full of hope, never hot to sleep. Run through the rain, we've got everything we need. A life free of worry will always be happy. As long as I'm with you. Anywhere is home. Anywhere